We are focusing on a new development that happened just about an hour ago. Confirmation that North Korea has launched yet another ballistic missile, this in the Sea of Japan, so close to the Japanese, who've called an emergency session to deal with this. Texas Republican Congressman Pete Sessions on all of this. Congressman, good to have you back. What do we know about this at this point?
Well, Neil, here's what we know. We know that the North Koreans have now fired their 14th missile this year. We know that they're barreling down a confrontation with the United States of America and the international community. We know that what they are doing, and they know it too, is aiming for a showdown. And members of Congress, while we have been very open to dialogue using those avenues, the North Koreans are not heeding the warnings that are coming from all over the world. I would suggest to you that it is now time for the State Department, the White House, and the United States military to really have direct talks with them and not to allow the North Koreans to advance their missile program any further. What does that mean? That means a showdown in my terms, because I think we've tried to talk from the whole world's perspective. And they are a very dangerous group of people, and they are inching closer and closer to where they could actually make a mistake and do something that would be aimed at our homeland. And that is my responsibility and our responsibility to protect our homeland and our allies.
Yeah, you mentioned the possibility of a mistake, and I think that's very likely, given the fact that sometimes these missiles go way off course. And everyone usually breathes a sigh of relief. Oh, it landed in the Sea of Japan, or it landed, just off the Korean coast, what have you. But any of these that hit land, I mean, that whether deliberately or accidental, that's a game changer.
Well, Japan, as you know, is a very dear ally and a very close friend of not only the United States, but people who love freedom. And we will not tolerate this and should not tolerate it much further. But it is now time to accelerate our thinking, our action, and our plans. And I'm sure the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, and the Chief of Staff of the United States military understands this, that the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs is going to have to become personally engaged in this, as well as our Secretary of State, to a highlighted level where we will not tolerate this further, in my opinion.
Congressman, switching gears, were you surprised by Senator McCain's vote last night to reject this skinny repeal?
I think any Republican senator that did not forthrightly support the activity to at least get it to conference disappointed me.
Now what happens? I mean, it seems, I know you're going to move on to health care. I know many conservative members in the House, you might be among those, have talked about revisiting this, but when?
Well, I had a meeting this morning with a few people down at the White House, and I believe, in fairness, I believe it's now up to the White House to counter with their specific ideas. They have given Congress an opportunity, and I think that the President needs to develop his own exact, specific, and detailed plan. I intend to see if we can get them to move that direction.
I know this isn't your bailiwick, if you don't mind it is out in the news. So Anthony Scaramucci, of course, the new communications director, right, as you're familiar with his tirade in a New Yorker article. He has apparently said before getting on board Air Force One to join the President on his trips to Long Island, by the way, Reince Priebus is as well, that it is better not to comment. What do you make of that?
I suppose they mean about the health care bill, or are you talking about their spat?
About his, tirade.
Well, let me say this. I believe the President needs to be better served by a number of people, and that would include those two gentlemen. The resolution between professionals is essential in any business, and they are both at the top of their game from professionalism. That should have included resolution. Resolution and conflict resolution is a part of everybody's job, and fighting through the media is not a way to resolve differences.
Would you fire both of them?
I would deal with both of them, and I am not going to involve that in the media, as I just said. What I would tell you is this, is that I have been engaged in for 17 years in the private sector, in 20 years in Congress. I've attempted to worked diligently for the things that I agree with, and when I won or lost, I did not show that resolve against anyone. I worked to make things better. I intend to do that in my personal and professional life, and both of these young men need to do the same for the benefit of the President of the United States of America.
And if they don't?
I would handle that very quickly, very quickly.
Congressman, thank you for taking the time.
Yes, sir.